343 has finally dropped the roadmap for Halo Infinite that was originally planned for back in January, and well, it is very disappointing. So without any further ado, let's go through all of the information, and then I'll give you guys my opinion, kind of talk a little bit about it, theorycraft a little bit, speculate toward the end of the video. So let's hop right in. So this roadmap is going to cover basically 2022. They don't really get into anything past 2022, but they have put basically everything that we're going to get this year onto paper. And they did state that they want this roadmap to be accurate and reliable. So although some things might change a little bit based on targeted dates, this is 2022. There's nothing else coming. This is 2022. So I know sometimes we like to hope and come up with theories of why we think X or Y is going to come sooner. Unless 343 has the weirdest marketing strategy ever, it's not coming in 2022. Certain Affinities mode is not coming in 2022. I've heard that was targeted for Season 4, which would correlate with this roadmap, as obviously it isn't included in Season 2 or Season 3, meaning Season 4 is going to put it into 2023. Now we don't know if Season 3 is going to be a 3-month season, like it should be, or if it's going to again be another 6-month season, which could put Season 4 and the new game mode well into 2023, or it could be at the start, but obviously that's speculation for further in the future. Let's first talk about 2022. So as you guys already know, Season 2 launches May 3rd, and they have now confirmed that this is going to go all the way until November 7th. It's going to be another 6-month season. In this season, we already knew we're going to get 2 maps, Fracture and Breaker, 3 game modes, Last Spartan Standing, Land Grab, and King of the Hill, and then we're also going to get narrative events in both May and July. We don't totally know what these are yet. I'll be interested to find out. Obviously, we're going to have the Battle Pass. We're going to get the new Fracture event in late May, which I believe is when Land Grab actually comes into the game. And then in late August, they're targeting both Campaign Network Co-op and Campaign Mission Replay. Along with this, in September, they're also going to target having a Forge Open Beta. They also talk about how during the season they hope to drop quality of life improvements, but they didn't put anything down on paper as to what those might be, although we could speculate for days what we'd want them to be. Now Season 3 is going to come in November 8th, another Battle Pass, new maps, new modes, new sandbox items, which is pretty cool, new narrative events, new Fracture event. They're going to continue the Forge Open Beta, they're going to have more quality of life improvements, and then they're also going to try and have campaign split screen for co-op. So that's going to put us through 2022. They do talk a little bit about how 343 is still fully committed to making Halo Infinite the best Halo experience ever, and that the primary reason that they're extending Season 2 is to give them time before shipping another season to fully address the quality of life improvements based on the learnings from Season 1, which a lot of that was talked about in that other big blog post, as well as other data and feedback they've collected. So that's basically the gist of what we're getting in 2022, like I talked about. And here's the thing. So if you just wanted to hear about the roadmap, you can now close the video. You know what we're getting in 2022, and you can take away from that whatever you will. And now we can kind of dive into some speculation and kind of talk about it a little bit. This is extremely disappointing. One of the biggest issues right now with Halo Infinite is that Season 1 has been as long as it has been, and they're basically doing it all over again. Now, in one of the other posts, Joe Staten had said that, yeah, Season 2 might be a little bit longer, but we're going to drop things during the season to keep people engaged and entertained. However, as we've seen basically from this roadmap, that isn't really happening. I mean, sure, we're going to get those narrative events, whatever those are, we'll have to wait and see. And we will possibly get a Forge Open Beta in September if they can hit that date, but we're not going to be getting more maps, more game modes, or anything like that. Season 2 really is going to have to hold us all the way from May until basically September. Now that could be the start of September, could be middle September, could be end of September. We don't really know, and that again assumes they can actually hit that September date. While things like Campaign Network Co-op and Campaign Mission Replay are a good thing, they aren't really features anyone's going to be excited about. I mean, people will be excited to go play co-op back with their friend, but this isn't going to bring people back to the game in droves or anything like that. And as we've seen from kind of these Fracture events, depending on how good the game mode is or how much is actually there, it'll probably give a slight boost when it drops, but it's not really like this huge content drop like you would kind of want if you're going to have a season be this long. Now, in most other games, seasons are 3 months, and so doubling the season length just to get quality of life updates into the game is going to have 343 constantly behind the ball, and that's what we're going to see over the next year. Is that basically by the time season 3 rolls around, hopefully season 3 can be 3 months long instead of 6 months long, but 343 is going to be very behind where you would have wanted a live service game. The game will basically be out a full year, and it'll get 2 new maps, 3 new game modes, and then at the very end of that first year, you'll get a few more maps and some more game modes with season 3. But we're basically going to go a full year with 2 new maps and 3 new game modes. Now they are going to do a little bit more with playlists and kind of some custom game settings to try and keep matchmaking fresh, but that's really only going to go so far, in my opinion. And I think we're going to see a player base drop very similar to season 1 during season 2. And that's ignoring the elephant in the room, which is that I don't believe most players come back for season 2. Season 2 itself isn't overly excited, and now if they've read the roadmap, they have even more reason to not be excited for Halo Infinite. So is this the end of Halo Infinite per se? I mean, I don't think the game is ever going to be totally dead. I don't think it's going to get shut down or have such a low player base that you're going to be completely unable to find matches, but I think 343 has completely missed their opportunity to make Halo great again, or however you want to say it. With the way we are headed with Halo Infinite, it is going to be nothing more than another niche Halo game, which is what we've had for the past couple games. Halo 5, after its year or two of development post-launch, was a very good Halo game, in my opinion. Now we can argue about whether or not you agree with me, but the cold hard fact is that even after the game was in a better state, the player base never recovered. It was never very big, and you can say the same exact thing for MCC. MCC launched extremely broken to the point it was almost unplayable, and currently today, MCC is a fantastic product. But the fact is, again, MCC's player base numbers aren't that amazing. But I think that's what Halo Infinite is going to be. In a couple years, Halo Infinite will probably be a good game. It also probably won't have more than 10 to 20k players on PC at any given time, and maybe an equivalent amount or a little bit more on Xbox. I don't think that Halo Infinite is ever going to be big, with the caveat that certain affinities mode could change that if they're able to totally kind of revolutionize the gaming space and do something totally new and fresh, or put a totally new and fresh spin on an existing kind of trend with Battle Royale. The core game itself, though, I think is chalked. Halo 5 had an extremely strong forge, that came about a month or so after launch, with added improvements over time. Like I talked about earlier, despite that, Halo 5 was never huge. Now it had a good and hardcore community, and it also had a hardcore forging and custom game community. And that's probably what we'll see again out of Halo Infinite. But I don't think that Forge, coming in September, is going to make the game absolutely pop off or anything like that. The game really needed to hit the ground running and keep running to keep some of these players that checked out Halo Infinite on launch around, keep them entertained, and hopefully give them a good experience. But 95% of those players are gone now, and most likely they never come back. Now obviously, every time I say that, people quote games like No Man's Sky or Rainbow Six Siege or even Counter-Strike Go or Apex, which I don't really think is a fair comparison at all, and they're not wrong. We have seen games that were in dire straits have revivals and become big games again. Now I'd argue none of those games, outside of maybe No Man's Sky, which is not a multiplayer live service game, were as bad as Halo Infinite is currently and is going to get over the next year in terms of kind of a dire need of content. So those games had frequent updates. They brought frequent content and they improved the game quickly to kind of keep the game going and bring people back slowly over time until they got to the point where they were huge games. With Halo Infinite only dropping 2 seasons in the entire first year of the game, it's not going to have the opportunity to do that. Season 2 is going to drop, it's going to have a little bit of content, some people are going to check it out, and they're going to leave again. Season 3 is going to roll around, it's going to have some new content, some people are going to come back and check it out again. But I think what we'll see is the pits between these seasons are going to be extremely low, and there's no saying that all the people that come back in Season 2 even bother to come back in Season 3. Overall, guys, I am just extremely disappointed. Now, this was kind of to be expected We had inclinations that Season 2 was going to be longer than we wanted it to be. Halo Hub was tweeting about that the other day, and we kind of knew the Certain Affinity mode probably wasn't going to come this year. But as a Halo fan and as a Halo content creator, this still sucks to read. Nobody wants the game to be bad, nobody wants the game to be boring, but we aren't really getting anything to kind of change that fact. Now I know core gameplay is good, blah blah blah, but we need content to play, and I just don't know if 2 maps and 3 game modes and some different playlists are really going to hold people for another 6 months when they're already sick of the game as it is today. See, that's the thing that people aren't considering. When people played the first time and they slowly fell off the game, they played until they got totally sick of it, and then they got bored and they left, and then they might come back in Season 2. Now when Season 2 comes around with so few new things, my speculation would be that people drop off even faster as they try out the new maps and the new game modes, get their fill, and then leave again. Or like I talked about earlier, might not even bother coming back. I know I have friends that personally have already said that with what we're getting in Season 2, they have no intentions in reinstalling the game. And I don't think that's some minuscule number of people either. I think that's a notable amount of people that played the launch of this game that will not bother playing in Season 2. And we'll have to see in the future if that changes. I do also quickly want to talk about kind of 343's Priority Zero, because it came up again in this roadmap where they basically talk about how, they want to do better, but they need to maintain that Priority Zero, which is maintaining a healthy work and life balance for all of their developers and employees. And I totally agree with that point. Nobody wants 343 devs to be overworked. Nobody wants them ruining their work-life balance, because we know how bad video game crunch can be when it's forced upon developers. But here's the thing, right? Nobody wants that. But 343 isn't a small company. They also have a ton of resources. So something is going wrong in the management chain that is making it so that they can't get anything done. Now I've heard a lot of things kind of behind the scenes. Maybe it's the Slipspace engine and just the Infinite product itself, which makes it very hard to get things out quickly. They have a lot of issues that they're trying to resolve, and it's making it hard to kind of work on new content since they have so many ongoing issues they have to fix. That's totally a possibility, and obviously that isn't going to change. We're at the point now where that's already the case, and there's nothing we can do about that. It just stinks to kind of repeatedly read about Priority Zero, because we get it. We don't want people to be crunched. We just want someone to take responsibility and admit something went wrong. There's no way it's impossible for there to be a Halo Live Service game without crunching your developers to death. We've seen so many other games can do it. I think the problem isn't the amount of time people are working, it's decisions that are being made, and management chains, and the overuse of contractors, and probably a whole lot of other reasons. And I don't think it's as simple as saying, we have to have our Priority Zero. I think there's probably other reflections that could be made. I'm on the outside, so maybe I don't know. But it just seems like they're kind of using it like a cop-out. One other thing I want to talk about before I wrap up this video is MCC. The other day we had a great MCC update. It was awesome. We got Forge Firefight. We got sound support for mod tools, which have kind of caused some bugs and some issues. We also got campaign co-op. We also got co-op crossplay and a variety of other things. And it was a really cool update. However, in their blog post, they talked about how over the next year they have some set things that they want to get done for MCC, and then they're kind of going to take a step back and kind of let it do its own thing. And they're not going to pull support and shut it down per se, but we're not going to be getting new seasons. We're not going to be getting new big content drops in MCC. It's kind of just going to be what it is. I think that's a huge bummer and a huge mistake at this point, as we see Halo Infinite also isn't going to be in a great spot either. So they're basically abandoning MCC, which isn't a good spot, actually has passed Halo Infinite on PC to work on Halo Infinite, which really at this point shows no signs it's going to change its kind of trajectory over the next year. Now I understand Halo Infinite's a new game. I do think 343 should focus on it, but I really think at this point MCC should be given to a totally independent development studio so they can keep development for it, add new content, find ways to keep the game going, and have MCC be their only priority, instead of currently where yes, 343 does get some help from outside companies, but it isn't their priority. It isn't their kind of baby per se. They just kind of help with some of the updates. That though, guys, is going to do it for the video. Let me know in the comments how you feel about the new roadmap. Do you think that this is the end of Halo Infinite, or whatever you want to say? Let me know in the comments and I'll make sure to read them. As always, if you enjoyed the video, you know what to do. Follow me over on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all those places, and I'll see you all next time. Oh, and last thing before we head out, just a channel update. With kind of the trajectory of Halo Infinite, I'll probably go back to not doing news posts very often. I wanted to talk about this one because it's a huge kind of drop, and I definitely wanted to give my opinion on the roadmap, but I'm probably not going to cover all the little news updates that we get sometimes in those blogs. But I will be hopping back into Season 2. I am excited to check out Season 2. I hope it's more fun and stays fun longer than I anticipated, but we're just going to have to wait and see with that one. And yeah, I'll see you all next time.